This is Eric from Pack Hacker, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Matador FlatPak dry bags, which I've been testing for the past 2 weeks. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe so we can continue making content to help you travel smarter. Let's dive in. So as you can see here, we've got 2 different sizes in these dry bags. We've got the 2-liter here, which is labeled with 2 liters. And then we've also got the 8-liter version as well, which is labeled with 8 liters. So as you can see, the 2-liter is quite a bit smaller than your 8-liter. This 2-liter would probably fit inside of a larger sling, definitely inside of a day pack, and no problem at all inside of a travel backpack. And this 8-liter is more tailored to a larger day pack, or even probably better your travel pack or your packed luggage. But they're both crafted from nylon ripstop, which you can see if you look real closely there, you can kind of see the texture there. And it's extremely lightweight and really, really thin, which is awesome from a, obviously a weight perspective and a packability perspective. It also makes it easier to roll them and store them when they're not being used. But there is a little bit of a durability concern there because it is so thin. So we haven't had any issues with it so far. But I really think that if something pointy were to really hit this thing hard and in the right area, it might puncture it. But as I said, we haven't had any issues so far, so be sure to check the usage timeline to see if we have any issues moving forward. But I already kind of referenced it a little bit. We have a Hypalon little piece of material here, and it makes 2 loops. So you have a big loop here, which is easy to grab onto with your hand, enough room there to go a little bit each way, so even if you have bigger hands, you'll still be able to grab it by that. And then we have a little loop here, which is better for like a carabiner or something like that, or if you want to loop a strap through there inside your pack. And then you can also obviously grab up here if you want to hold it like that. And this is all unbranded hardware, but we haven't had any issues with it so far. It's just a pretty sturdy, hard buckle there and a little D-ring, which you could also attach a carabiner or a strap through there. So no issues with that either. And then something I think is pretty unique about these bags is it has this little TPU window here. So right now it might look a little weird because we have some packing cubes stowed in there, but you can see what you have inside there. It is pretty thin, so getting a good view of what you have inside there can be kind of hard, especially on this little 2-liter one. But it is nice to have the option, especially if you have 2 of the same one, and you can kind of look inside and see, okay, I know what's in there, or I know what's in here. And if you have stuff with water in there and it's a little bit warm, it will start to kind of condensate, so that's a good way to tell which one's wet and which one's dry. So I want to talk a little bit about the closure on the top of these, because as you'll be able to see shortly, it does say that you need to fold it at least 3 times to get a good seal to make sure that this is keeping water out. So this does have an IPX7 rating, which means it can be submerged up to 1 meter for up to 30 minutes, which is
great if something falls in the water or it's really, really raining hard. That'll give you a lot of protection, but you need to seal it at least do at least 3 of those rolls to make sure you get that protection. And this 2-liter right now, I have a packing cube inside there, and it's kind of hard to get to that 3 rolls because of how much I have packed in there. That's 1, 2, and 3. So we got to 3 and maybe just barely can get to 4 there. Because obviously the more you roll, the more secure it's going to be, but obviously the more you have packed in there, the harder it's going to be to get to 3 or more rolls. So on the 8-liter here, I have a pretty big packing cube in here as well, but it doesn't take up as much of the space. So I'm going to push some of the air out, and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as you can see, I'd probably go further, but the more rolls you do, the more secure that's going to be. So, in theory, the 6 rolls I was able to do here are going to be more secure than the 4 rolls I was able to do here. So that's just important to note, especially when you're shoving stuff inside there, that you need to be able to get at least those 3 rolls. And if you can do more, that's great too. So looking at what I have actually stowed inside there, so you can get an idea of what you can fit inside. I have this, I'd say, small to medium packing cube, depending how you look at it, but it fits in there pretty snug, but still able to close it, obviously. And for 2 liters, I'm pretty happy that I'm able to fit this and, wet clothes, whatever you want to stow inside there. Over on the 8 here, we have a much larger packing cube, just so you can get kind of an idea of what will fit inside there. This is, a large packing cube, no matter which definition you're going with. This is a hefty packing cube, and it's able to fit in here without any issues and just really makes the best use of that space. And I think the main reason for that is, so as you can see here, when these are just flat like this, they sit really nicely flat on the table here. But when you stuff stuff inside there, there's this gusset that kind of opens up on the bottom. And that makes sliding gear inside there a lot easier because you're not coming to like a harsh angle at the end. Whereas like on the sides here, this angle's kind of harsh because it's just like two pieces of fabric welded together. But here you have this gusset, which makes just getting every inch of space a lot easier and makes packing this a lot easier as well. There's not really any wasted space, so you really are able to pack it just that much easier. And I think that's important because sometimes you don't see that on dry bags. But something else I think that's important to talk about is that the 2 liter here slides very nicely into the 8 liter. So if you were to get both of these dry bags and you were going on vacation, but you didn't really know whether you wanted to bring them, space is not an issue because as you can see, they're so thin. And those durability concerns we talked about earlier, those are still on our mind, but as we said, those have not shown any issues yet. We have not had an issue with this getting punctured or anything like that. So these just take up such a small amount of space in your pack, even if you were to fold them up like this, or if you wanted to roll them, they're just so thin that even if you're traveling, one bag traveling, these can slide in pretty easily without taking up a bunch of room. And that's not the case for other dry bags that we've tested in the past. Sometimes they're crafted of like thicker TPU, like a TPU material like this window here. So just the ability to bring a dry bag with you without taking up a bunch of room when it's not in use is just an awesome thing to be able to do, especially if you never know where your adventures are going to take you. If you like to take spontaneous trips, it's a great thing to have. So there you have it, the Matador FlatPak dry bags. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel. We'll see you in the next one.